for another Ask Me Anything at Troll Lord Games. See my big fancy whiteboard behind me? I've actually not put anything on it yet. Things are beginning to come unraveled here at TLG, so we are in need of some more organization. How's it going, Commander Pete? Way too many projects. Getting kind of... It's all being worked on, but it's not getting done. So we need to get some order to this universe, which is a good thing. Order is always a good thing, especially in a small business capacity. Yeah. Yep, lots of Gaxmore in our porridge these days. It's a good book. Gaxmore is a fantastic adventure module. Obviously, hardcover, city setting book, whatever we call them. Sandbox, is that what we call them? But yeah, I want this one to be as clean as humanly possible. And so much stuff slips in layout and various editors and this change and that change and whatever. That having final eyes just before we go to press is a good thing. We've got the slots at the printer ready to go. They bugged me today about when these books are going to show up. This and there's a couple others we're sending to press. I think I'm actually going to print deep on the abstract books too and throw those into the Whirlybug. How's it going, Mark? Hey, Necromagnus. That's a pretty cool little red icon with your red name. Very cool. Yeah, so lots of Gaxmore goodness. Great game, some nice intro, linear adventures, opening. Yeah, that's at the end of the day, when you look at Gaxmore, it's very, very much like Advanced Dungeons & Dragons B2. Is it B2? Yeah. Keep on the Borderland? I think it's B2. B2 was really cool in that it gave you this, a sandbox really, but it gave you this kind of cavern area where there were so many monsters and so many little things, little adventures. There was 10 adventures in B2, easily. And that's sort of what Gaxmore is. It's a gigantic B2. It's a huge city, and there's all these factions fighting each other, and there's safe harbors and NPCs now in there that can help the players and all this stuff, treasures, and there's an overriding campaign if you want it, but if not, you can just go in and loot and pillage and destroy to your character's heart's content. But yeah, hey, Kadora, how's it going? Yeah, good stuff. So we're giving it a final look. We got, I guess, 3 or 4 eyes on it right now, giving it its final look. It never encourages me when I went in and to fix something, and I was doing a word search for something, and I found a missing apostrophe in one of the first paragraphs I looked at. I thought, this is an issue. Editing is a really tough thing. It's getting good editors on and keeping editors. We've had good editors before, but frequently you get kind of sucked into a routine and you start missing stuff because it's a lot of, I don't know. Editing it's a skill. I think it's a huge part of any kind of publishing endeavor that doesn't get nearly enough credit for the amount of work. Artists get all the glory, designers get all the glory too. Artists and designers get all the glory, but editors are right in there. Amir was what's the least dice rolling you ever had in a game you ran or in which you played? So that would go immediately. I remember a role-playing session. Way back in the long ago days, I owned a comic book store with Mac Golden and Charlie Sifford, and we ran this comic book store in the day, and then at night we'd close up and very frequently play some type of game. How's it going, DM Samuel? Yeah, it was called All My Comics, and David Hockey was there, Todd Gray, Mac, and Charlie, and I was running the game. They had been captured, I remember that much, and then David and Todd, Todd gets really into role-playing, so did David in those days, but they started role-playing the session while they were in captivity. That session went on for about, now it would occasionally include Mac and occasionally Charlie, and I think once guards came in, but it was about 5 solid hours of them role-playing out what they were going to do, a long argument. It was just really cool. I mean, I ended up mostly sitting behind the screens reading comic books because there's nothing I could do. I mean, I didn't want to break it. I don't like to stop role playing especially when everybody's that fired up about it. Charlie, I know, eventually left. He got up and went home, or Mac did. Maybe Mac. One of them left and one of them stayed. Because I remember the upshot was they ended up killing the guard when the guy came back in. It was just this big thing. But yeah, it was a pretty astounding, a little boring at times for me, but but that's okay. They are, Kadora. They are. I mean, how's it going, Rhino? Hey, Thoracic. Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, it's like I said, I don't, when they're role playing, I try to never break it up. And if it goes on for an hour and a half, it goes on for an hour and a half. I mean, people are into their characters and they're obviously into the game and they're interested in what's going on. So, that's all cool. So doing a long role playing session, it's a good thing. It's always good for the game. Probably I don't, generally speaking, if it's not role playing, dice gets rolled at some point, especially with Castles and Crusades, because there's so many attribute checks, when you're doing whatever the hell you're doing. Here it goes. It's 4 o'clock. Get my knife out. See my pristine whiteboard? Nothing has been put on it yet. Went down. That's a whiteboard we use all the time at conventions, and it will put announcements up, when games are, discounts or whatever the crap we're doing, and obviously it hadn't been used in a while, and I went down and got it, and this morning set it up right after lunch, and part of it was missing, and I had to go back to the storage unit and get all that crap, blah 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 blah. So nothing's on it yet, but as soon as this AMA is over, something's going to be put on it. I'm missing too many. I'm forgetting to do things. I don't know if age is creeping into the whole picture, or not. But I suspect strongly that we're looking at there's so many things going on, and we have so many products. We've got a lot of product lines now, and there's lots of parts to it. So to keep it all kind of rolling, I'm going to have to get. And I just chastised Chuck a week or two ago about getting a whiteboard. Get a whiteboard, put it up on your wall so you can list the things you do. And Chuck, you still owe me a list. You sent me a list that you wanted to immediately revise after you sent it to me. I think you need to put at the top of your list, make Steve a list of things that you need to do. When I see it, that's what I'm going to recommend that you finish first. I used to swear by whiteboards all the time, but then I just stopped using them. I don't know if technology caught up or what. It's been years. I went through a period, Commander, where I had like 7 in here. I had one over here that had TLG's schedule on it, what we were releasing, conventions we were going to, and then you can see just the one I still use frequently is the product release schedule. That one's there. There was one in the corner. That's the one on the easel behind me. I got one over here. I had one over here. There was one in the mail room, one in the print shop, so that everybody could just keep notes and whatnot. But you're right. If you don't keep them up, they're just useless. They just take up wall space. So what I decided to do a few months ago is condense them all, get rid of this stuff. Some of it I've got online. I've never really found a good, simple way, software to open up that has it in a box that's readable. This is what I'm doing today, or this is what I need to do. I've tried note programs. Google Calendars is like a nightmare. I mean, Google Calendars is probably the worst piece of software I've ever seen in my life. It is so horrid. This explosion of colors and messages that won't fit in the little box and and then they were within 7 seconds. I think we had 18 Google Calendars. It's just ridiculous. I know we still got one somewhere half color coded. I can't stand that. I hate Google. I hate Google with a passion. I just absolutely hate it. Let's see, what are we doing here, Chuck? Do I need to read that? I used to say blah blah blah. AMA, what's the largest number of players you DM'd for the largest group in which you played? I DM'd 24, I think, is the most I've ever run a game at. For, and that was at Gary Con. I believe it was 24 people. And the biggest game I've ever actually played in is about 12 people. And that one actually had 2 DMs. We weren't even playing, I don't know what you call them. We were playing MERPs. Is that right? Middle Earth. Is that the MERPs? Is the Middle Earth game? We're playing MERPs or whatever their DM is. There was 2 of them for about 12 of us, I think. I am a digital person, like having my list and stuff on all the devices. I use a service called Remember the Milk. I'll check it out. See, for me, it really, whatever notation program, it's going to be so crazy simple. I wish I could get this damn Microsoft calendar, and I've sort of worked with it a little bit, where I can just click it and it tells me what I need to do today. I got that a little bit done, but even that, it sort of works. But the nice thing with the whiteboard, I can just make a quick note. I don't have to open a program, choose a font, put in this, and I can just write it on the board. But boards are a pain in the ass, and if you don't erase it in 6 weeks, it's permanently stuck there and all that. I use one all the time, but then I'm a professor, so I don't have much choice, guys. That's a little different. If you find the best to-do list, please do share. Yeah, one of these days, maybe TLG needs to design its own software. How's it going, Mr. Obadiah? Let's see, 20... Exactly. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of fun, too, but I believe it was 24. We had Jason Vay joined us late, and he was standing up. Like 3 people were standing up because we just ran out of chairs for everybody, but it was pretty cool. There is no best list. Each of us is different and wired, and the biggest thing is always to place the to-do list of things to remember in the same look. That's the key right there, 42. It's got to be in the same spot. Digital or paper using a method that works for you. Be disciplined and faithful to the tool. That's part of it too. I mean, it's got to be. I think Tim he's more of an Apple guy, and he uses some kind of note system that pops up. And if you can, like you said, if you can get that to work for you, then it works. And I got to tell you, I got this little notepad. We make them in the print shop, just down a scrap paper, and I just make a note for myself and stick them on my monitor stand. And I absolutely hate things on my desk that are incomplete. So I'm constantly finishing my notes. So it sort of replaces the whiteboard, but discipline is a hard thing. I keep trying to use OneNote, but find I lack the dedication to use it any way that benefits me. There's something my wife uses. It sounds like OneNote. It's something that pops up. It's like a calendar thing, and you get an email, and it tells you what to do, and it's color-coded and all of that stuff. And I just need some text. Just really linear, simple, something very, very simple. It would be awesome if there was a piece of software that when you logged on and you turned on your computer, your monitor was that day in the calendar. So my monitor would just be a big square with September 15th in it, and it would just list, do this crap today. That would be awesome. But I don't think anyone's made that, so there you go. I use notes and email. If it is in my email inbox, it is not done. Much like yeah, you're crazy with that email, Tim. I don't know how you do it. I'm horrible with email. Absolutely. I've gotten moderately better than I used to be, but no, email and me, I don't know what it is. What I end up doing, I'll open an email, I'll read it. If I can answer it really, really fast, I'll answer it. And if I got to think about it or kind of construct an answer or go look up some information to give the individual, then I say, okay, I'll get to this later. And my inbox is so full already that I never get back to it. So absolutely horrible with email. The way to get me to respond is a very short 5 to 6 word question, and then generally Mike Stewart's the best. The author of Victorious, he'll send me like 7 emails in a row, but they'll all be one little question. It's absolutely hilarious. I just make a mental note, then forget about it. I like your way, Vic Danger. I'm pretty sure that's what Davis does. I'm pretty sure that's his whole notation system. My phone tells me I currently have 70,800 emails. Yeah, you know what I do, Commander? Occasionally I'll just do select all and delete. If I haven't answered them in 3 years, I probably don't need it, and it just all goes away. I did, sadly, when TLG first started, we had Troller.com, but I set up TrollLordGames@Yahoo.com, I think. Now, since I canceled it, deleted it last year, but so I had a lot of emails with Gail and Gary Gygax through the Yahoo address, and I went in. I had a security breach. I tracked it. My software, I didn't do anything. My software tracked it, said it was from Yahoo. So I went into the Yahoo thing, and they had done, I don't know, Yahoo had done something. But all the emails were gone. All those emails from Gary and me were all gone. So I just deleted the whole thing and canceled the account. My Yahoo is at 189,342. Hey, so I want to tell you, and I don't know if this is true. I have no idea. I read it on some news site, and all of our news is so horrid that it's incomprehensible that something that you read on the internet actually might have value to it. But I read that I think it's like 2% or 1 or 2% of the world's, the emissions, whatever they're on about, CO2 or whatever it is, are actually from servers that are storing people's emails because it requires so much energy to fund these servers or to fuel these servers. And Pete and you and Chuck might be a huge part of that. You might be what's driving the whole global warming mess. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I probably got 700 emails in between my various. I go in there. I swear to God, I'm going to go in there. I swear I'm going to clean this out. I never do. I try. I just need to select all and delete. Sorry, folks. We didn't need climate anyway, right? We can have climates later. Look at Venus. They just found life on Venus. It's doing fine. Everything's fine. Email reply, all storms are server killers. Yeah. Good God. Yeah, that would be bad. I don't know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's so interesting too, talking to my kids. Now, my daughter's a little older. She's 21, so she's kind of got her foot in both worlds. But Pete a little bit, but my younger's 14. I don't know, he's 14, 15, something like that. And they really see the world differently than certainly I do, and probably most of us here in the room. They just see it differently, and it's kind of cool. I like looking at the youth and knowing that they know for a certainty that we're all idiots. They have the answers. I was that way when I was 19 and 20 and 21. I looked at older people and said, yeah, you're old, you're taka. But you respect your elders, but not those in their 50s and 40s and 30s. They're just idiots. So it's just absolutely great. I know. Exactly. They just figured out what we've known. They'll figure out soon enough that they're idiots too, but they haven't figured that part out yet. So that's what's great about it. That's what's great about all. I love the exuberance of youth. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. Last night I CK'd the next part of the slag heap for my group. So much fun. No combat last night, but lots of RP with two bards performing and working the room. Very cool. So much fun. For that adventure, though, there are so many NPCs and things at play that I had to make notes and even a mind map on all the moving parts, locations, and themes in the game. Man, anytime now the older ones, it's better or worse depending on how you look at it. Davis's material. It's one of the reasons that I desperately wanted him to do the NPC Almanac. Davis's material is always chock full of just tons of interesting NPCs, and all of them have their own stories. And that's true to life, right? Everybody you meet is the person's just a packer at the grocery store, but they have their own story, their own events, their own tragedies and losses, their own triumphs, and all of this stuff. And they come from somewhere, they're going somewhere. And Davis tends to weave that into his character or his NPCs. So when you're running the game, running anything that he wrote, particularly the older stuff, it's crazy. The NPCs are just absolutely crazy. Makes for a lot of fun, though, as you're finding out. It makes for a lot of fun. A1's that way. His Bergholt is probably the ultimate of his NPC interaction. There's so many things going on in Bergholt, it's absolutely maddening. Evening all. Bifford, no CC game tonight and had to sit down and work out to discuss finances with wife. Those are always pleasant, Bifford. Always fun. A few years ago, my wife just said she's done with all of it. She don't want to have anything to do with any of it. Just tell her which money's here and what money is there. Which is a sad thing because I can't count very well. So my math skills are, what are they going to do? I like all those NPCs in Mount Fort. Oh, there's just tons of them. I forgot there's that many NPCs in Slag Heap, but yeah, Slag Heap is the town, right? It's got there's that gnome. Yeah, there's all kinds of things going on in Slag Heap. I have not looked at Slag Heap, God, in probably 12, 13 years. I briefly looked at it when we converted it to 5th edition, but I haven't messed with it. I just looked at it. I forgot. Yeah, I think I made it through Slag Heap. Can't remember if I died or not. If we don't forget to set aside a little for the next Kickstarters. Yeah, we got some of that coming down the pipe. So, on that Kickstarter, let me answer this question real quick, and I'll do a quick update on the Kickstarter. PDF level only due to shipping should be doable. There you go. Any plans to give the C series and DAU series of TL modules the same treatment you gave the A modules? As in what, Kabosho? Are you talking about converting to 5th edition? Some of those have already been done. Or are you talking about moving those into various platforms like the VTT stuff? I can't remember what it's called. River City Games? No. Jesus. Roll20. Yes, Roll20. The box sets. Yes, absolutely. So on the docket is I want to get the C series kind of. We really need to box these things up because they're older, and there's so many maps and there's so many parts to it that it really works now as a collective really. The C series we did as a limited box set years ago, so I want to bring that back. And include a C0 to it. C1 begins with, I think your second level, is that second or third level, I think. And I'd like C0 to be first level adventures, that type of stuff. And a box set would be really, really cool on that. The U series, maybe. Those are really kind of, they don't have anything to do with one another. And the DA series, is that Haunted Highland? I think that's Haunted Highland. That is always on my mind, is to bring Haunted Highland back out as a box set. I've talked to Casey about that quite a bit, and he's given the green light on that. We just need to make it happen. We need to put all the parts together, because that's 10 or 11 adventures that just aren't out there, and they need to be. They're really badass adventures. I mean, they're very, very cool. I think you can get it in PDF now. Is about it, but we need those back out, and a box set for the Haunted Highland series and a box set for the C series are definitely in the works. When that happens, we keep running into the same problem, and I'm actually this is part of the organizational issue. How's it going, Retro? That I'm trying to get us through. We keep running out of books. The Player's Handbook now is up. That we're fixing to run out of it. We're running out here, so I contacted the distributors to see how many they have on floor, so if I can get some from them, and they're completely out of the alternate. So I'm 100 less than I thought that I had. So it's a mess. We're getting so close to, being out. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's a horrible thing for a publishing company. I mean, you definitely want to sell out, right? But you don't want to be out. So running out of stuff is a good problem to have in a way. Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Across the board, it's been crazy, and that's fantastic. And we thank all of you all for all of the support. But every time this happens, we've got to stop kind of what we want to do and retool and put back out. The CKG needed a heavy edit on it. It needed some stuff. I thought it needed more art and material into it to make it more useful. I'm always looking at making these books more useful. And the Player's Handbook, I really wanted a different interior look. I haven't decided on the Player's Handbook yet. I mean, the cover yet. But I wanted it different. I want different pictures. We've had the same pictures really since the box set came out in 2005, 4, whenever that was. So I wanted to have. But then we got to stop doing things like what was on the docket 4 months ago. Up at the top of the list was the Haunted Highland box set. The C series box set will be relatively easy because it's already done minus C0. But we've actually already printed half of that thing. We really just need the boxes made and the guts made. But some of the guts made. But the D series, the DA series, the Haunted Highland stuff really needs just cleaned up. It needs pulled out, cleaned up, and new covers done that'll fit the full. In those days we did this very small kind of window covers, and in these days we do. And in these days, what is that? And today we do a full bleed off of the thing. So we need covers for that. So it's just, a few weeks worth of work, probably 3 weeks. And both of those things could be done and out. But we keep having to stop for a variety of issues and problems and things that come up. And I'm honestly hoping to. We're going to do a Kickstarter on the Player's Handbook 8th printing very soon. I was going to do it this week, but I pushed it back a couple of weeks. There's just so much going on that things are getting kind of missed over, and I knew if we launched a Kickstarter in the midst of that, it's just going to make it worse. That said, I've instructed both Zoe and Peter Bradley to begin art, and they already have. Can I get a picture? Is there a way to do a picture in the stream here, Chuck? Because I've got, if I can open it, Zoe sent over the first Rangers. Very, very, very happy with these things. And of course they're going to redo all classes. Let's see, where's Zoe? Her art is just, oh my Lord goodness. It just makes me so happy. I'm not sure what this is. She always sends me all kinds of versions. And I've never... Okay, so both of those are pings, which, alright, I'm getting there. Nope, wrong spot. So it's going to be that and that. Not actually running the CC. Haunted Highlands is DB, the DA is the Dark Adventures or something. Oh, DA, there's only one DA actually. The DA, yeah, Peter's art is fantastic. I would like to see more virtual tabletop asset packs, maps, tokens. Well, we are working on that. I had a long discussion. I had 42. I had an extremely long discussion with Chuck on Friday about a new approach, and he's actually going to give me the first product that we'll be working on today. That was his deadline, so he's got 32 minutes to make that happen. Yeah, the DA series DM only had the one. So DA is Descent? No, it's something. It was written by Kim Hartsville. Wait, what? Products. How's it going, Grape X? Grape X. I don't know, Grape Ape. Thank you for that. My wife did that stuff. Hey, how do I throw a picture? Can I just grab this thing and throw this picture there? So I can't put a picture into the feed. Is that what I'm led to believe? Chuck, Skype me with instructions if there are. Anyway, so I've got Zoe and Peter already diving into the art because I want that thing to go to press, regardless of the. All right, I'm gonna send it to Chuck. That and that. Alright, so I sent that to Chuck. So Chuck will put them up here in the feed here in a little bit when he makes it all that happen. Blah, blah, blah. You need to tell OBS to open the image viewer and then place it on screen somewhere. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work, Bifford. that sounds like something. Oh, I see what you mean. I can throw it into my little thingamabob here. Well, 10 seconds for you might be a little bit longer for me. But I think I seem to vaguely remember doing that. So if I do this plus image, let's do RAN as a title, browse. She's already got it as a ping. Let's see if that works. Okay. I don't know where it went. It went somewhere. Wait, I see it. I see it there. There it is. Yeah, we're just gonna let Chuck put. We're just gonna let Chuck. There it is. Dun dun dun. How do you shrink that? Maybe it needs. Did that shrink it? I don't think that shrunk it. Wait, it did shrink it. We're getting somewhere. So this is the Male Ranger. I'm very stoked on the Male Ranger. I don't know how to get rid of that other crap. Let me see. That's the frame. I don't want to get rid of that. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's just one picture. Alright, so that's the Ranger. That's the Male Ranger. Very, very stoked on that. Peter's finished the. He gave us links there so you can see it. Peter finished the fighters, but I don't have those yet. But yeah, so I'm very very I'm really stoked. While I'm jibber jabbering here, I'm gonna try to get this other one in. So let's do Ranger. So this is the female Ranger that I'm uploading. This is an. I think the first one's an elf, and this one's a half elf, I believe. So there is the female Ranger. Let me get rid of Ranger. There you go. I'm super stoked on these guys. And this is really, yeah, I love it. I love it, DM. Checking for spore or direction of tracks, perhaps. Yeah, that's what one of the things I want is I want each of the class pictures to have them doing something in their class. Not necessarily combat or whatever, whatever. I just want them doing something to kind of carry over the idea of what it is. And of course, we're going to do a male and female version of both. So just everybody can get in and see what they want to see and start playing the game. We're going to dump the art in the spell section, which should give us enough room to do this. I'm super stoked on it. And I just want new art. I just want a new look, and I'm not sure why I want that, but I just want it. So it's going to happen. So it's just the way it is. That's one way to learn OBS. There you go. I could click the link in chat, but it's more fun watching Steve battle with the tech. I will learn this someday. Is that a dexterity-based Ranger? Ours are strength-based, but Vic, you know the long story of that. And we'll just tell Todd it's a whatever dexterity-based. Peter's fighter, the one I really like, he's got both of them mostly done, but his female fighter is really cool because she's one of the things Peter absolutely excels at. I mean, he's a fantastic artist. He's a fantastic artist. But when he really gets into the equipment, he was a reenactor, a Civil War reenactor. He's part of the SCA. And his parents were professional costumers for Hollywood for years and years and years and years. So Bradley has that ability to make equipment and weapons and proportions all just brilliantly. I mean, he's just really, I love Peter's equipment. I love his people. I love his action and all that stuff. But for me, I'm that kind of guy who, when I'm looking at art, I love to look at, I want to see a gazillion things. I want to keep looking at it and find new stuff. And Zoe is right up there too, but Peter also, they've got that ability to just, there's just stuff in there, and it's just awesome. So we're getting all this art done, and I'm escalating. Is that right? I want it done now. I'm telling them to stop working on everything. That was today's shout and shift to the player's handbook. It's not going to need a heavy edit. We're going to do some proofing and reviewing, reformat, put the art in, and I want it to press. But the Kickstarter itself, we got some really cool things that I want to do, some stuff that we're going to offer, and the Kickstarter itself will launch minimally a week from now, but it might be 2 weeks from now. It's not going to slow us down in printing, though. My intent is no matter when, if we launch in 2 weeks and the Kickstarter ends, say November 5th, that book's going to the printers November 1st. That's really what we want to do. Now, the only caveat being if there's absolutely no interest and the Kickstarter is so horrid that we we don't fund, we'll have to look at alternatives. But I can't imagine that happening. And it'll do well. It gives you a chance to redefine your products and add a bit of diversity to the game that may not have been there through Trolls. Art has always been very realistic. No red Sonyas and bikini cat chainmail BP and bottoms running around, etc. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm anxious to kind of step away from. We don't have that much, but there is some of that in our books. It's just a holdover from me and Davis, Mac, and Peter all growing up in the 70s, and this is the way things were done. But there's no reason for it, certainly not now. And all right, there we go. And I think when you, I don't care what side of what political or social or cultural conversation you're on, that's not relevant if you actually were to look in a world in which women were warriors and men were warriors and women were wizards and men were wizards and all of these things down the line. They're going to use the same tools. You know what I mean? It's not going to be, one does this and the other does that. That doesn't preclude it. I mean, Conan doesn't wear any armor, right? Tarzan doesn't wear any armor. Two of probably the most masculine figures in fantasy and science fiction fiction don't wear any armor. Well, Conan, I think, does occasionally, but Tarzan sure as shit never does. That dude's mostly just naked. That whole loincloth thing is something Hollywood threw on there. I think for his first, 25 years, he just buck naked running through the woods with his spear and his arrows and his rope. I'm relatively certain he absolutely never wore anything. But regardless of where you land on all of this stuff, I think it's very cool to bring an element of realism into the game. You don't want to overdo it, of course. Gnomes aren't real, I guess garden gnomes are technically real. You can go buy one, but it's not like going to jump out and pick your pocket. Well, it might. I don't know. Who am I to say? I feel you as a Gen Xer. The world has changed, and we can appreciate the past without letting it define the future. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, and for myself as a gamer, I love realism in things. I mean, and I've said this 1,000 times. Star Wars, just fantastic movies. I love the Star Wars movies. Star Trek stuff, it's really cool. I love Star Trek. I can watch any of them. I'm perfectly happy, perfectly content. But if you ask what I would prefer to watch of the science fiction genres, it's Aliens. Aliens, anything by Ridley Scott, really, because there's this gritty realism to it. There's this whole level of, I don't know, just, I really feel like I can step into it. Star Trek, certainly to me, has very little, and it's just its production and the way it portrays what the future is. It just, to me, has all this crap. There's crap everywhere, and Star Trek has nothing except a little tri-sponder or whatever the hell it's called. And Star Wars is close to that, but you've got the Alien. I do not have the Alien RPG. I need to. Is it really? I'll have to check that out. That's very cool. This is where we see how much Steve wishes gnomes are real. They're the best. Hey, man, they might be real. Who am I to say? Maybe at night they wake up. I found a gnome in my yard one day. It was just laying there in the yard. Its hat was broken off. I don't know how he got there. Maybe he was running from a cat. I don't know. I don't want to, get some angry gnomes after me. It's none of that. Gnomes are the chihuahua of the gaming world. Yes, they are, rookie. Yes, they are. I really don't know why they're in any of our books. I mean, I know why I put them in C&C, but I don't know. It's just weird. And I've tried in the world of Aaron, I've tried to rewrite them enough that they're clearly sort of like dwarves, but just to give them some, I don't know, something. A drunken gnome would probably be better. I watched the first episode of The Mandalorian. It was pretty cool, and I gotta say, I enjoyed it. And my only criticism about it, and this is a Steveism that makes no sense whatsoever, is he never took the helmet off, and it just bothered me. I was just thinking, man, when I was in the Army, if I left my helmet on very long, my head was sweaty and it just itched like crazy. So that dude's head's got to be a mess. But I'm told it is the way. This is the way. I'm told that the Mandalorian can't take off his... Yeah, I get... Okay, Chuck. He can't take it off or something. Right. That's it, Bifford. Jason Vay told me. He gave me a long explanation of what's going on. It still made my head itch. But I'll eventually go and I'll finish it up. I enjoy Star Wars. It's just good stuff. I mean, Star Wars is really... If you look at A New Hope... I'm a huge Western fan. I love John Wayne, Dean Martin, Jimmy Stewart Westerns. I love these old movies. And that you cannot look at A New Hope and think that is anything other than a Western in space, because that's exactly what that is, even down to the white hat, black hat. I mean, it's just really cool. And through either accident or careful design or somewhere in the middle, I suspect, Lucas created the most memorable villain in easily the last 100 years. I mean, Darth Vader, I'm a huge Tolkien fan. Darth Vader dwarfs Sauron. The presence of him, the idea of him. Darth Vader, he's it, man. So much so that, and I enjoyed the prequels, but when you watch, I can't remember the titles of anything, but Darth Maul, he's like the gnome. He's like a Star Wars gnome when you stack him up against Darth Vader. I mean, Darth Vader's just awesome. And I can't remember which movie it is, but it's one of the newest ones. Is it Rogue One? Where at the end, Darth Vader comes walking out on the gang. The ship's like torn in half, and Darth Vader comes walking out, and he turns the lightsaber on, whatever. I mean, that it is a chill-inspiring moment. It is a fantastic moment of cinema, and it is probably one of the best moments in Star Wars history. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Star Wars is just freaking cool. I absolutely love it. The Mando way is the way of the sweaty head. Yeah, they have not been able to really recapture that either. So I missed something. Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? The New Hope stuff. It's tough. They've given it a good shot, but AMA, what's the greatest villain you ever used in an RPG? It's got to be Unklar. Absolutely, Unklar, the Horned God. He became. So when I joined the army, we put our game on hiatus, and there had been a couple of huge villains, and we put the game on hiatus for 3 years, however long I was in the service. But about midway, I started writing letters to all my players, telling them what happened to their characters in the preceding millennium or whatever, and telling the story of Unklar, so that when they came back, Unklar was the villain. He had conquered the world, and it's now their attempt to, to overthrow, or their job to overthrow him. So Unklar became this fixture in the game for a decade, from roughly 1993 when I got out of the service to probably 2003 or 4 or 5, somewhere around in there. We were still playing Unklar games by the time when TLG started. So Unklar without a doubt, and he's still. I've got here. If I can show this, let me get rid of my Ranger. We just finished. Zoe and I just finished redoing Unklar's banner. Very happy with this. If I can get the thing up, but yeah, Unklar's the dude. So this is Unklar's symbol. And for those of you familiar with Arid and all that, you'll see, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Is my cursor visible? I don't think that it is. I don't know what's going on. Let's put this back. But you can see this is the crown. This is Unklar's crown. In the middle, the tree beneath it, and the horns symbolizing his rule. But super pumped about this. I'm going to take this image. Zoe will color it, but I'm going to give this to Peter so Peter can put it on a banner. And this will be part of the whole player's handbook package and whatnot. I'm just super stoked about this. But Unklar, without a doubt, Mr. Obadiah, wait, who asked that question? I missed who asked. Mark, without a doubt, it's going to be Unklar. Still one of my favorite villains, and he left such an impact on my game. Every time something happens, one of my players, Chris, he's convinced it's Unklar that's behind it. Sometimes it is, but it's kind of cool. Rogue One, so that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, Rogue One was I really enjoyed Rogue One, and that last scene was just, man, that was fantastic. Those Mando buckets are climate controlled. There you go. So his head won't itch. That makes it much better. I will revisit Mandalorian without a doubt. I have gotten myself into X-Files. I started rewatching the X-Files a few months ago, and holy Christmas, I forgot how well written that show is. I'm on season 4, and it's just, man, is X-Files well written. And those two, Scully and Mulder, whoever, Gillian Anderson, Gillian, is it Gillian? Whatever. And whatever the other guy's name, David Duchovny. Just they have a chemistry that is maybe unmatched on screen. I mean, it's just fantastic. I'm part of through last year's season. It's okay. Wait, are you talking Mandalorian? Or yeah, it's got to be Mandalorian. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Jillian. So Jillian, yeah, absolutely love Jillian. Hey Steve, aired question. Tell me about the Defenders of the Holy Flame. Trying to work out how I might bring them into my game somehow. So the Defenders of the Holy Flame are a group of paladins who worship both Saint Luther and Durandal. And Durandal, of course, is a god, but is also the Holy Avenger. So the Holy Avenger's name is Durandal, and that is a manifestation of the god Durandal. Both of these, Saint Luther and Durandal, are lawful good gods. And their patron, or their avatar, if you will, Luther, and Morgan, I think was his name, were paladins who were in the forefront. I won't say that they led, but they were in the forefront of the war to overthrow Unklar and drive law and evil from the world. but in doing so, many of them were destroyed and lost, and their power remains in 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔, where there's paladins in the various 18 families and whatnot. The families of which were just detailed in the 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔 expansion from Codex Egyptium that we just recently released. I think it's on the site for now. But so I would do it as a backdrop somehow. Unless one of your characters is a paladin, I would use them as a way to kind of fuel the characters into driving law and the evil back from the edges of 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔 into either Maine, but really to the north is going to be the Browloon Timberlands, up north's Ash Flat, and 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔 is actually up in that area. I think that's what I would do. Paladins are tough because law and good, obviously, we've talked about assassins and monks being hard to DM. Our GM, CK, whatever we're doing. But paladins are, I love paladins, but they're really up there with the, the difficulty level and, in playing them. But the cool thing about lawful good is they're good, and their overall thing is to help and to make things better. However you interpret the law part, that's where it gets, dicey. Sometimes you can portray laws as not, good, and sometimes law can be fantastic. It just kind of depends on how you want to look at it. And I'm not trying to drag any modern world interpretations of anything into the conversation. I'm really not. When you're looking at lawful good, we've had long conversations at the table. Is a lawful good person willing to execute someone without a whim or trial? If they know they're evil, do they execute them, or do they somehow try to imprison them or whatever? It's a huge conversation that you can have around lawful good. It's a long time since I ever heard anyone say, but the cool thing about lawful good is it's a hard alignment to play. It's probably the hardest to play, honestly. And neutral evil is really tough to play too. But lawful good's hard to play because there's a lot of moral in our makeup, particularly in the West. Anywhere, English Magna Carta type republic democracy, Spartan Athenian democracy has kind of taken root, which is everywhere in the West. I can't think of anywhere it has not, except perhaps the Papal See, right? No, well, they even vote. The Cardinals even vote there. So it's pretty much everywhere. So to get to kind of portray lawful good, wherein as in a type of alignment that is extraordinarily tyrannical, is easy to do. I mean, and it's hard for us to see it otherwise, because it's law, and especially in the United States, and I suspect strongly in the UK and Canada and Australia, we don't. Man, you even tell us to do anything, and it irritates us. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's smart or not. It doesn't matter. Don't drive blindfolded. What? I'll drive blindfolded if I want to. I'm an American. That's the way we are. Yeah, it started a long time ago. We just we settled on the East Coast, and they started passing laws, so Americans moved to the West, and they started passing laws, and Americans kept going, and they kept going until we ran into the ocean, and we couldn't go anywhere else. Any place with moral ambiguity has a tough time with lawful good alignment. Absolutely, and it's a tough one. Lawful good is easier to play if there is a strict delineation between evil and good, forces in the universe in a setting, so something can be pure evil, and therefore the paladin has no issue with destroying it. Any place with moral ambiguity has a tough time with lawful good alignment. Yeah, that's perfectly said, DM. That's perfect way to put it. The moral ambiguity is where it begins to break down and becomes difficult to play. Challenging, I should say. I don't mind doing it. I'll DM a CK a lawful good character in a nanosecond, far faster than I would a lawful evil or a chaotic evil. The lawful can be faith, law, land, moral code, personal oath. Yeah, you can definitely, and see, this is exactly where the conversation in law good goes every time. At my table, we all have kind of a slight different interpretations of it, so it becomes this, I don't know, wellspring of whatever, argument mostly, which is okay, that's all right. I noticed in the A series an overwhelming amount of commoners are chaotic neutral in alignment. I spent some time thinking about that, and I guess it kind of makes sense. These were people living in times where nothing was certain or under their control. Yeah, that's Davis actually. So Davis wrote A0 through A9. I think I took over on A9, maybe A8, but I think he wrote half of A9, and I wrote the second half of A9. I think is how that went. So he did A0 through A8. I may have jumped in on A8, but honestly can't remember. It's whatever's on the cover. But Davis absolutely does not like alignments. He absolutely hates them. He doesn't think they should have anything to do with the character, simply because, as you all know, because you're Homo sapiens and you're older than 5, you sometimes react. You sometimes say things that you regret, and you sometimes say things that are wonderful, and you sometimes do things that you regret, and that maybe were a little evil or maybe a little good or whatever. There's a huge amount of moral ambiguity in the world, and there's a huge amount of emotional reaction, and there's a huge amount of, we're just people, right? Sometimes we just go. That's just all there is to it, and it's just the way it is. So, and that's Davis's kind of game philosophy. He really doesn't want anything kind of ironed out by alignments. So I suspect if he were here, he would chime in with chaotic neutral. Becomes the closest thing that he can kind of envision to people having that ability to go, to do both good and evil or what have you. And I don't mean evil as in, Jeffrey Dahmer evil or, concentration camp evil. I'm just talking about, whatever. It is chosen standard that the character judges all things on. I think I missed the first part of 42. Oh, right. Yeah. And that's the thing. If whatever you build into your setting or world or whatever, you kind of got to give it some kind of you don't have to, but you should give it context, and that'll help you play the lawful good better than if you just kind of free will it, because it gets kind of confusing. And let's face it, players through their characters get very angry at monsters and angry at NPCs, and sometimes that the axe falls. I think one of the weirdest things that happened in my game happened like 2, 3, 4 months ago. We were playing my higher level one, and they were in this creepy house. Chuck remembers. There was a very creepy house, and there was these children that seemed to be ethereal almost. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. They couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And at one point, they were interviewing this child. Now, they were interviewing the child right after they had opened a door, and there was a deer standing in the yard who had its eyes sewed shut and was hobbled. Its back legs were hobbled, if I remember, something like that. And they had no idea what that meant. They opened a door, there's a yard, a deer, a stag with its eyes sewn shut and hobbled. And then there's this kid. I can't remember exactly. I have to really think about where they met the kid. I think he'd been running down the hallway maybe, and they grabbed him. But they questioned this kid, and they questioned this kid, and they questioned this kid, and he kept giving them these nonsensical answers. And then this was right on top of meeting 2 children who kept repeating this nursery rhyme over and over and over again. In complete frustration and rage, Mac, assuming that the child was some kind of demon, hurled the child through a window. Everybody was stunned at the table. We were all like, what the? And the child hits the ground and he breaks his hip, and the kid's trying to drag himself away into the forest, and everyone was just completely stunned. Mac stayed angry for quite a while, but it wasn't that Mac or the character are evil, but they had a momentary overreaction to an insanely stressful situation. So he gets into this whole moral whatever's going on. It was horrifying. Man, that's a powerful image. Yeah, it was a really great. And this has been building for like 3 games. They had been in this house for 3 games, lost in the house. There was birds that they ran into that long necks and red eyes that kept trying to get to them. There was these children. At one point, Chris tried to cast some rune magic and got himself caught in an ethereal time loop. It was just this big mess. But what do you call a deaf giant? Anything you want, it can't hear you. There you go. Creepy. I had dreams about that. Seriously. Good, Chuck. I have to tell you, I don't know, and I think I've said this in the stream before, I don't know how much enjoyment my players got out of that. For 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long that encounter lasted in the house, everyone was just kind of in this state of being stunned, the reaction, they role played and they reacted and all this stuff, but you could just tell there wasn't that. So I couldn't tell if they were enjoying it, but for myself, I was loving it. For the first time, I had everyone kind of confused, and it wasn't easy to decipher what was going on. There was a real riddle here, and there was a real trap, and all kinds of issues going on that they couldn't readily figure out, which eventually led Mac to throwing the child out the window. I take a lot of cues from Warhammer 40k. We have the heavy puritanical, while at the same time a level of ambiguity that has to be kept within the confines of your beliefs or risk total corruption. Oh no, that's interesting. That's kind of a cool way to do it. That's very, very cool. I really do like the idea of players being kind of drawn into something and having to fight that evil that is there. Have we started the raffle? Are we in on the raffle? So we got at least one, maybe two. I don't know. Chuck told me we got a couple of seats left at the table. We had a scheduling conflict to come up, so we're bumping the game to the 22nd of September, so it'll be next Tuesday as opposed to this Thursday. For those of you just joining us, I'm going to run a game online on Tuesday next, right after the Ask Community thing, well, about 30 minutes after, here on Twitch. We've got 6 chairs, I believe, and we have 1 or 2 seats still available. We're going to auction those off in the raffle today, and I believe we've already begun. So just type in !raffle, and that'll put your name in the hat. And all we ask is that you be there Tuesday, and you have a camera and mic, so we can all just dive into it. I believe that's what we're doing. I hope that's what we're doing, since I just announced it. We will not. The scheduling conflict is going to whiplash all the way through Thursday. I don't think we're going to have. As it stands right now, there will not be a GM's Tricks of the Trade this week. Excuse me. We'll bump that to next week as well. But we'll get all this. We'll get all this mess worked out. Sure as fire. Tim pins me down to a time and date to run an online game, and there's something comes up. So, but there you have it. So much to play but work. Yeah, there we go. Why do I need Mike? He can't get. He might, man. You never know. Well, we get our tricks. What is that? Halloween? No, that's not Halloween. What do you mean tricks? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll see. Put my Ranger back up. We'll get rid of him, Clark. Put the Ranger back up. I'm really digging that Ranger. But, so, very cool. So, no Thursday. No, I don't believe so. Oh, tricks. Yeah, Mark. It looks like it's... I may try to get it together. We'll see. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. Absolutely not on Thursday. If we move it to Friday, that's a possibility, but probably not. Chances are we're just going to pump it to next week. It's just... This end of the week turned into just mad chaos for me, so we'll see how that goes. It's not like I need sleep anyway. There you go. Do you use more or less alignments compared to the standards table, good, neutral, blah, blah, blah? What would you change? I actually like the alignments. Davis is the one that doesn't like them, 42. I'm okay with it, and probably the only ones I've never been real keen on is the neutral, neutral evil, and neutral good. But Jason Vey actually set me straight on that. He gave me quite a long... he needs to write this up. He gave me quite a long discussion, lecture, whatever, on neutral evil as being the most evil of all of the alignments, as in, and I cannot do Jason's explanation justice. Jason's a very good game designer, by the way. Amazing Adventures, Victorious, his own night shift game. But lawful evil is, there's law guiding your evil. There's walls, whatever. There's precepts that you're following. And chaos is just kind of the wild card type stuff. But neutral evil is pure selfish evil. Everything is for you and nothing else. There's no greater good. There's no greater cause. There's no greater anything. There's no anything other than yourself. So the evil and neutral evil, I think, is far more evil than the others two. It's really just about self. It has nothing to do with any greater context, which to me is really cool. And when he kind of pitched that to me, you can extend that sort of to good as well, to neutral good, and to neutral somewhat. But if I was to do away with any of them, it would be neutral. I can't imagine why anything would be neutral other than to be mindless. So, and I know that's why the Druid, of course, falls into that perfectly. Not that the Druid is mindless, but nature. I mean, the hurricane doesn't have a thought process. It doesn't care. The tornado, the rainstorm, the snow, whatever. And it's not even care, doesn't even belong in the sentence. Nature is growth and struggle. Is that what it is? Growth, struggle, and death. That's what nature is, and it continues to replicate that over and over and over and over again, sometimes extraordinarily violently, sometimes not. And nothing matters, whether it's the last of a species or the first, it doesn't matter. So neutral, it's there, but almost, in my head, kind of mindless. I like neutral, it's balanced rather than mindless. Yeah, you can look at it that way. That is definitely a way to look at it. So that you've got the chaos and the law and the good and the evil, I guess, and maybe a cross-shaped, a plus-shaped, however you want to put it. And in the middle is neutral, kind of keeping some kind of, context to it. I can see that. But the neutral for me is a little off-putting, but not so much because, you can take... Davis is probably a good example. He doesn't... Davis is as close to neutral as I know anyone. He doesn't really... it's just... It is what it is. Maybe that boils down to my favorite expression. It is what it is. That's the most neutral expression there is. All right, Bifford. We'll see you later. Oh, it's after 5. I guess we need to start wrapping up. Did someone win? Raffle entries have ended. A winner is being picked. Okay. The Druid's way is chaos theory. Yeah, there you go. I was thinking about chaos theory the other day. I've never quite grasped that whole chaos theory. I need to read up on it. I actually found myself... I'm working on the rune spells for the rune mark, and I created a new school of the entropy runes. So I dove into reading about entropy. I never really understood it as a concept. I really like the word. It's a cool word. So I spent many, many hours just reading articles on entropy, and it is a fascinating and extraordinarily difficult thing to get your mind around. Very, very, very cool. Let's see. Steve, read back to the highlight. I'll be right back picking a winner. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Read back to the highlight. Oh. Never fear, fellow trolls. There are many more games planned on down the road for you to join that will let you game with Steve, experience the wonderful forest and river that awaits. It's as if I can't read. I don't know why I couldn't just read that. Yes, there'll be more games in the future. So if you don't get a chair here, we'll do it. I'm going to try to make it a regular part of this Twitch channel. I don't know if it'll be weekly, but bi-weekly would be really cool. And we just do kind of a rotating thing where people can come in and bring their characters in and just in and out. I think that'd be very, very cool. I see neutral play does a wishy-washy. It's irritating. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of anything wishy-washy. Steve Reedbuck, yep, entropy was the most epic of the epic evils in 3.5 ED. Oh, that's cool. I never even knew it. I didn't play much 3.0. I'll have to check that out, rookie. That's cool. I want to meet the children and creepy deer. I really want to write that up, Commander Pete. I've got really good notes on it. I'd really like to just write that whole thing up. It was my first venture. I started listening to a lot of, I think we talked about it. I think you and I, Commander Pete, talked about it. I watched some horror movie. Witches? No, something about witches. I can't remember anything. But something, I don't know. So Rhino, did Rhino win? I think someone won. Yes, Rhino, you have won. Very cool. Congratulations. But yeah, so I watched these horror movies, and that was really my first dive into doing a horror game. I've never really done those. Mine are generally action-packed, and I think that's one of the things that threw my players off. And I had all of this stuff kind of scripted out that I wanted to do, and just imagery that I wanted to capture. What sucked about it for me is it was really designed. We do about twice a year. We go up to Mac's house up in the mountains, and we game for like 3 solid days. And we had been planning one of those, so the whole thing was kind of built around, 70 hours of gaming in a contained period, so I could keep the mood going and keep interest going and keep everybody kind of engaged. But then COVID hit, knocked that all for a loop, and everyone fled to their whatevers, and here we are. And so I had to do it online, and it just didn't go as well, I thought, but I enjoyed it. Let's see, I think that's about it. We've got a winner. Rhino is up. He'll be joining us Tuesday on the 22nd. And I think that's about it. If anyone has any questions, shoot them over real quick. I'll answer them. But otherwise, I think there's steak in my near future. We might get Max. I have to wait on one player to get back to me. I will let you know. All right, excellent, very cool. But we're going to get this. We're going to get this going. We're going to get these games going. I really enjoy gaming, and I'm not able to do it as much as I used to. So we need to get online. All right, thanks everybody. DM Commander, Kadora, everybody, 42, Virtual Wizard, Vic, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I surely do appreciate it. Give us a follow if you haven't, and let everybody know about the stream. We won't be doing GM's Tricks of the Trade Thursday, but we'll definitely be back next week and get everything back on target as my whiteboard fills up with crap that we need to do, and hopefully we can erase it as we get it done. So there you go. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a good evening, and Rhino, we'll see you Tuesday with the other guys, and Rookie Mount Abdial, Magnus Mark. Everybody, have a good evening.